Hi, this is Ian,
And this is Kayla.
and we're here to talk about water and healthy water. We're right here by a spring. Let me show you. It's actually really amazing. So that's the spring, and it's continuously flowing. It's something that a lot of people really enjoy and appreciate, spring water. And most people don't know about it because most people think about city water or well water, but not really spring water. And the reason why is you don't see it as much. It's up in the mountains or areas where there's like a lot of shade. Usually that's where springs show up, is where there's enough shade, and then water starts to come up out of the ground. And there's a scientist, researcher, he was a forest ranger in the 1930s named Victor Schauberger, and he talked about all of this. And he was called the water wizard back then. So that would be great to look into if you're really interested in spring water. But let me tell you more about spring water, because it is really amazing, and it's something that brings a lot of life force to your life. One reason is our body is mostly water, so the body is about 70 to 90% water, depending on how much hydration is in a person's body. And the brain is mostly water. It's more than 90% water. And spring water has a lot of nutrients in it. It has magnesium, it has silica, it has hydrogen, negative hydrogen in it, which is what we get from the sunlight, which is really amazing. The negative hydrogen, you'll actually see it if you fill up a bottle of spring water. There'll be bubbles in the water, and the bubbles will start rising up from the water when it comes in contact with sunlight, and that's the negative hydrogen releasing in the water. And so it's actually really good to keep spring water in a cool place because of that. Now, spring water is a little bit different than well water or city water. City water is recycled water from the city. Many times it comes from the sewage treatment plants. And so it's everything that's flushed down the toilet is recycled, and the water is reused. It's first purified and then reused. And that's a little bit much to keep drinking city water. So we really enjoy well water, and the most thing that we really enjoy is spring water. And so we take showers in well water, and we drink spring water as much as possible. Some people just drink spring water, and I used to do that for years, and I really like it. But our well is pretty good as well. It's something that's really important. If you check the well water, you want to check the TDS. Also, this goes for spring water. TDS stands for total dissolved solids, and it's something that when you know the TDS, you know how many parts of minerals are in that water. And so the total dissolved solids is really important because your kidneys, they filter everything that's in anything that you drink. And so your filtration system, your kidneys, are going to be, overly used if you have a high TDS, a high total dissolved solids. And this water right here, we're at Palomar Mountain, and this is Palomar spring water. This water right here is usually around a 60 TDS. It ranges, it ranges from like a 60 to 70 TDS. Sometimes it's even lower. And a lot of wells, to be a healthy well, it should be under 150 TDS. So if it's 150 or lower total dissolved solids, then that is a good well. And then you want to check if there's anything else in the water. Just basically if there's a good tank that's not leaching metals or plastic, because sometimes there's plastic tanks. I recommend a metal one. And if all that checks out good, then you've got really good well water, and that's really important. And then with the spring water, a lot of people ask, like, well, is there bacteria in the spring water? And the interesting thing is, spring water is at a certain temperature where bacteria does not proliferate. So there's actually no bacteria in the water. It comes from ancient aquifers that have no pollutants deep down in the center of the earth. And these aquifers, they are coming up. I mean, they're in the earth crust, but they're closer to the center of the earth than we are. So these aquifers, they have absolutely no pollutants. They've been down there for hundreds of thousands of years. And the water is just springing up, just all this water. And as it's springing up, it's vortexing through the soil all the way up to the surface of the earth. And our physics actually doesn't have a way of explaining how this spring water rises up to the surface, because it defies the laws of gravity. Just like how water in a tree rises up through the tree, that actually defies the laws of gravity. And so there's interesting things that are happening that we haven't really put into scientific terms, like the instead of gravity, Victor Schauberger, talking about him again, he talks about levity, and the spiral formation actually creates levity, and you can see that with salmon swimming upstream, and they literally swim straight up a waterfall using torsion fields and spiraling motion, and that creates levity. And so that's really, really interesting that spring water works off of the same mechanics. And another thing that works off of the same mechanics is our spine and also our heart. Our heart's not pumping blood, it's actually vortexing blood. And there's a really good book called the Heart Math book that goes all into the science of the heart. And so that's a really amazing one, because our heart is really vital for our overall health of our physical body and the energetic health of our body. And spring water provides a lot of nutrients, micronutrients, that help our heart because it has magnesium, and magnesium is the most important nutrient for our heart. And also the spring water will help with the hydration of the body more than almost anything else. And it's something that is really, really amazing because it's all over the planet. Luckily, this spring water is at a pH of around 7. There's some springs that are very acidic. There's some springs that are very alkaline. And back in the 1920s, people would go to all these different springs, and they would bathe in them. They would bathe in hot springs and cold springs, and they would be considered healing springs. And they were going there for the different mineral contents. And these different mineral contents were actually bioavailable. And so this was something that was very interesting to people. And they found all these different healing remedies from all these springs. And so it's really interesting to find the springs near you, and there's and see how they are. There's a really great website called Find a Spring, and if you type in Google Find a Spring, it'll show like findaspring.com or something like that, and then you can type in your address and it'll show you all the springs in your area. So that's really, really amazing, and we recommend trying the spring water near you. You can even find spring water at stores. This Palomar spring water, they deliver, so if you're in Southern California, palomarspringwater.com will deliver everywhere. And there's a guy there named Mike. If you just ask for Mike, he'll take care of you. He's really great with setting up spring water delivery. And we don't get paid at all or get any benefits from that. We just know them. And we don't get spring water from them because we are able to go up to the mountain here and get it for free. But that is a really great service for people who are looking for that. So if there's any other questions, you can ask in the comments and definitely have a great conversation about that. And spring water is something that is readily available for everybody. When you go to a spring, there's some ethics of just like making sure it's nice and clean. Don't leave any trash. Don't do anything that is going to damage the area, because there are rangers that are up here that are making sure that people aren't damaging the place, and if they see that there's people who are damaging, they'll actually shut down the spring. So just making sure that everything is you know, looking really nice and pristine, and then we get to enjoy this spring water without any of the wildlife preservation concerned about keeping the place, you know, pristine. So we can help with this amazing nature around us and integrate with it, because we are nature.
Yeah.
And this is a amazing life force providing nutrient, this element of water that is readily available for us. So with that, I recommend getting a TDS meter if you want, getting some water bottles and filling up some spring water, finding a nice cool place in your house or garage to put the spring water, because it likes to stay in cool water. It actually will keep its flavor better in cool water. It's the negative hydrogen and also the TMG, trimethylglycine, is in the water. So that's really good for the liver too, and we can go into that.